How would you feel if I told you your child, your teenager, your niece, your neighbor was taken against their will and forced to live a life as a sex slave? This is the current situation for many females under the age of 18 all around the world. Young women and even children as young as 9 years old are being sold into sex slavery and forced to perform sexual acts against their will. The act is called human trafficking, and it is defined as sexual exploitation by way of prostitution, sexual abuse from a pimp or brothel owner, and forced sexual favors for free or rape. These incidents of human trafficking are being tracked down and reported, and more young women are being helped than in the past, but there is still much work to be done. With my previous knowledge of research on human trafficking in 2012 with the A21 campaign, and my passion for helping young women find their purpose after the traumatic events of human trafficking, I am able to bring you facts and legitimate information important to be aware of and help prevent human trafficking. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services served as the major informant in my research, as well as provided me the information to share with others how minors are affected by human trafficking. Much of my research was aided by the help of Google Scholar as well as the CF Library database. Today I would like to share with you my 3 main points. Long-term cognitive effects of sex trafficking in minors. Some counseling and therapy reintegration programs are available to minors, and how are they easily accessible? And what are the basic needs of victims of human trafficking? The Journal of Criminal Law and Criminology, Northwestern University, states that under the U.S. law, sex trafficking is defined as the recruitment, harboring, transportation, provision, or obtaining of a person for the purpose of a commercial sex act. We must focus on the long-term effects this has on minors. Young women who are forced into human trafficking are only developing their minds and their worldviews when they experience these traumatic events. The Military and Medical Pharmaceutical Journal of Serbia lists the more in-depth harmful cognitive effects sex trafficking has on minors. Among them are acute stress reaction, post-traumatic stress disorder, flashbacks, nightmares, disregard of environment, emotional flatness, isolation from others, depression, adjustment disorder, disassociation, and self-harm. Some may extinguish cigarettes on their skin, self-hit, abuse of various sedatives or substances. In the same study listed, percentages of women who deal with panic and anxiety disorders. 91% of them dealt with nervousness and shakiness. 61% dealt with terror and panic spells. 85% dealt with fearfulness. 95% dealt with feeling depressed or very sad. And 76% felt hopeless about the future. For 65% of human trafficking victims, they feel as if they have no future. If young women believe this for themselves, they will never see the potential they have to grow after receiving help and therapy after being rescued. Counseling and reintegration therapy programs are available and ready to help the young female victims of human trafficking. In the Evidence-Based Mental Health Treatment for Victims of Human Trafficking article by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, the author quotes that trauma-informed services are a crucial part of a victim's recovery. Therapists focus on the needs specific to the victims and study cases individually in order to obtain the correct information and diagnose properly. These techniques allow victims to overcome their issues by growing comfortable enough to open up to a licensed qualified counselor. Some of the most influential and helpful places these young women can turn to are Mercy Multiplied and A21 campaign. These have programs designed to help young women who are victims of human trafficking and counsel them, provide therapy and education to them, as well as provide housing and food for free, 6 months at a time to a year depending on the case. The Unaccompanied Minor Refugee Program that you see on this slide will provide a visa for work authorization until the minors are a legal age of 18 years old. There is also an immediate need for safety and mental health counseling. The basic needs of a survivor of human trafficking does not vary from person to person. Every survivor and victim needs immediate mental and medical health recovery. According to the Department of Health and Human Services, for domestic minor victims in particular, they often need anger management, conflict resolution, and family counseling. I discussed the 3 main points that will lead to a better understanding and awareness of human trafficking victims under the legal age. The lasting effects can weigh down on these young women if help is not sought out. Victims require basic needs every human should be offered, but minors require a safe place to stay if they are not connected back to their families, and a safe place to divulge their information and feelings. Now, I urge you to take a stand against human trafficking and help these young women to be one step closer to freedom. Get in contact with the local human trafficking advocate program or shelter in your city for more information on how to volunteer. Before turning away the idea, consider the millions of children who are enslaved and ask yourself, what if that was my child, my niece, nephew, or student? When making your decision, remember these young women have no one to look to, nowhere to run, no hope, only darkness, bondage, and fright. Get involved and give, even if you cannot volunteer. These young women need your help. If there are any questions, please feel free to address them now. If there are no questions, thank you for your time.